Attention withdrawn.
Call the regular monthly meeting of the Ellsworth City Council to order. All councils are present. Monday, November 21st, 2016, 7 p.m. Would you all please stand as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Rules of order, we follow Robert's Rules of Order plus procedures adopted at the annual organizational meeting. At this point, if anyone has a cell phone or a pager, I would appreciate it being either off or silent. Item 4, adoption of the minutes from the following meeting. October 17th, 2016, regular council meeting.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Unanimous. Item 5, city manager's report.
Yes, Mr. Chair. A lot going on. On November 25th, there will be a tree lighting at SK Whiting Park, Friday at 4:30 p.m., this Friday, Black Friday, which is at the corner of Main and High Street, our two major commercial thoroughfares, and also probably the most central point of the city. So that will be happening later this week. The downtown holiday marketplace in the former Grasshopper Shop space. If you've walked by there, you can see it's come back to life. 8 pop-up specialty shops that'll be open Friday, Saturday, Sunday from Black Friday to Christmas Eve. Also, on December 3rd is the holiday parade, which I believe starts at 11 a.m. Some of our very own employees are going to be marching, and I won't give away the punchline yet and what they'll be. Also, the city of Ellsworth has been selected by Eastern Maine Development Corporation, has been named as Community of the Year, and will be recognized at their annual meeting on December 15th at Jeff's Catering and Brewer. And Down East Sunrise Trail, which many of you may know has been under construction from Washington Junction up to High Street. That extension grand opening will be December 2nd at 11 a.m. At the High Street trailhead. Ellsworth will now be the western terminus and the beginning of the Sunrise Trail, which goes 90 miles across the state of Maine and almost all the way to Canada. And finally, Wreaths Across America will be coming through town on December 11th, and will be at the parking lot at the Maine Coast Mall between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. So a lot happening. Get out and take advantage of it.
Thank you, Mr. Cole. Item 6, committee reports. Any committees that the councils who were at attended committees during the last month? Do you have any news or exciting things to bring back to us? Mr. Fortier?
Rec Commission, although I won't report on the meeting as much, but basketball courts are put away for the winter, locked up. As soon as the earth starts to freeze a little bit and the weather cooperates, we'll get the ice skating rink framed up. Highway crew appears did an excellent job leveling that off, gave us a nice flat, clean surface to put the rink on, and we'll go from there. Anything I missed?
The Winter Carnival scheduled for February 11th. Union Square wants to get involved this year and begin offering games at the Moore Center, such as a snowball toss and indoor games. They're also looking at putting some music downtown along with a fire pit. And for the first time, looking to rent fat tire bikes for some kind of a competition. Right up my alley.
You look good on it.
Fat tire.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir, Mr. Moore.
pleased to report the harbor is closed. That's the news.
Yes. And also the request for a vendor is on our agenda for the night, too.
That's right.
That was the high points of the meeting. Anybody else? You, I think, in front of you and also in your iPad, got the committee assignments for the year. Not much has changed. I did move Mr. Blanchett off recreation, and newest counselor, Dawn Hudson, is now a member of the rec committee. That's it. Then we go to citizen comments. Item 7, this portion of the agenda, we allow anybody from the audience a couple of minutes to address the council with any problems or concerns they might have on things in the community. No promises of action, though we would love to hear anything you might have to say. Seeing no one, jump right up at that. Item 8, presentation of awards. First item is Eric McLaughlin for 10 years of service with the Ellsworth Public Works Department. Don't see Eric present. Make sure that he gets it. Thank you, Eric. Second item is presentation of commendation for diverting a dangerous situation and displaying courage. Chief Bickmore, please come forward.
Thank you. Tonight I want to recognize Shane Campbell. He's a deputy with the Hancock County Sheriff's Department, and Officer Troy Beers. They're both assigned to the Maine DEA full-time as special agents. Back in September, they were conducting a drug investigation involving the theft of drugs. The incident turned possibly deadly when the subject of the investigation was able to grab a firearm. Officer Beers was able to put his hands on the gun and to remove the magazine and put his hand on the slide to prevent the bad guy from firing the gun and avert a serious situation. So both officers acted heroically, and want to commend them with a commendation from the police department in the city of Ellsworth. All right.
For you, with a letter of commendation, the Ellsworth Police Department proudly presents the certificate to Officer Troy Beers in recognition of your quick action, bravery when faced with a dangerous and life-threatening situation during a joint investigation of the Maine Drug Enforcement Administration. Your professionalism, integrity, and team spirit approach are a credit to the Ellsworth Police Department. None of this 21st day, November 2016. Thank you very much, Troy. I know you're not in a wonderful job. Small Business Day Proclamation, November 26, 2016. I know we have Kelly here and maybe a couple, 3 others. If they'd come forward, I'll read it. Make the presentation. Might as well all be in.
Come on in.
Seaville's a Small Business Day Proclamation, November 26, 2016. Whereas the government of Ellsworth, Maine celebrates our local small businesses and contributions they make to our local economy and community. According to the United States Small Business Administration, there are currently 27.9 million small businesses in the United States. They represent 99.7% of American employer firms, create more than 2/3 of the net new jobs, and generate 46% of the private gross domestic product, as well as 54% of all U.S. sales. And whereas small businesses employ over 55% of the working population in the United States, and whereas 89% of consumers in the United States agree that small businesses contribute positively to the local community by supplying jobs and generating tax revenue. And whereas 87% of consumers in the United States agree that small businesses are critical to the overall economic health of the United States. And whereas 93% of consumers in the United States agree that it is important for people to support the small businesses that state value in their community. And whereas Ellsworth, Maine supports our local businesses that create jobs, boost our local economy, and preserve our neighborhoods. And whereas advocacy groups, as well as public and private organizations across the country, have endorsed the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday, therefore, John Phillips, myself, Mayor of Ellsworth, Maine, hereby proclaim November 26, 2016 as Small Business Saturday, and urge the residents of our community and communities across the country to support our small businesses and merchants on Small Business Saturday and throughout the year. And that's very true. It is. They are all critically important to our whole economy. And we're glad to have you here and appreciate you coming. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm a little confused. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you all for coming. No unfinished business. On to the consent agenda. All items are considered as routine will be enacted by one motion unless somebody so decides to remove any. Item 9, Council Order 111601, request of the Deputy Treasurer Tax Collector to accept payments on tax-required timeshare units per the attached spreadsheet and to authorize the city manager to release said properties through municipal quitclaim deeds. Item 10, Council Order 111602, discussion and action on the request of the Branch Lake Water Steward to set the Branch Lake boat and airplane sticker fee at 0 for the calendar year 2017, something we've done very commonly in the past. Does anybody want either of those removed? If not, may I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, move to accept consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Unanimous. Item 11. We have two requests for licenses. We'll take them one at a time. First on the, I will assume, I will ask staff, that we have requests from VFW 109 and from Cellar Bistro. Everything is fine with all staff. First request is VFW 109, 419 Main Street for renewal of a city Class B license, victual, liquor, and amusement, and renewal of a state bottle club registration. We'll open the public hearing. Any input on the request? Seeing none, public hearing closed. Council action on the request of the VFW.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? None? All in favor? Be it unanimous. Cellar Bistro, LLC, doing business as a cellar, 112 Main Street, for renewal of a city Class C license, victual liquor, and renewal of a state restaurant lounge Class 1, 2, 3, and 4 liquor license, malt, spiritus, and Venus. Public hearing is open. Any input on the request of the seller for renewal of their license? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Council action?
Mr. Chairman, move approval.
Second.
All those, discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Item 12, Council Order 111603, request of the Deputy Treasurer Tax Collector to waive foreclosure on the property located at 1436 Bangor Road, map 102, lot 10, and to authorize the Deputy Treasurer Tax Collector to execute a promissory note with a resident of the property. Hi.
Good afternoon. Melissa McGowan contacted the city of Ellsworth and indicated she was financially unable to pay the $2,977.63 necessary to stop the impending automatic foreclosure on December 12th. The balance on Ms. McGowan's account is for the delinquent taxes for fiscal year 15. This property is still taxed under Edward and Ann McGowan, who are deceased. No action has been taken at this time through probate to change the ownership to Melissa's name. There's no mortgage holder on the property as well. As it stands, Ms. McGowan is not eligible for a real estate purchase installment contract, as it is not in her name. The other option available would be for the city council to waive foreclosure and enter into a promissory note that requires monthly installment payments by Melissa. The note would be structured so that FY15 and 16 taxes are paid prior to foreclosure in 2017. So I'm requesting to waive foreclosure and enter into the promissory note.
I have a question.
Question of council?
Sure.
Yes, Mr. Moore.
How does this play out in terms of whether or not Ms. McGowan is awarded this property? Is she responsible for all the back taxes?
I spoke to the attorneys about this, and he said at this point, nothing has happened through probate. She only has 3 years to initiate that and get it done. At that point, I'm not, if she doesn't do that, I'm not sure who ends up with the property. So we have to continue to tax it to the person that it's currently deeded to, even though they are both deceased. But until something happens through probate, there's nothing that we can do to change the records.
In your discussions with the attorney, but the lien follows the land, no matter whether Melissa is successful or not. The taxes are still due, and the lien stays with that until they're satisfied. Nobody gets clear title to it, correct?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Fortier?
And the interesting part of this is if we approve waiving foreclosure, we still got a firm grip on the property, and it allows her the next year or so to get this paid down and get through probate so she can straighten it out. Gives her a little breathing room.
Yep, so we would still have, we wouldn't be waiving next year's foreclosure, so if she doesn't follow through on the payments, we could still foreclose next year as well.
Is this property currently occupied?
Yes.
She lives there.
She is, okay.
She lives there,
Yep.
with 2 or 3 kids. Any other questions from council on this? Somebody entertain a motion?
Mr. Chairman, move to approve the request of the Deputy Treasurer Tax Collector to waive foreclosure on the property located at 1436 Bangor Road, map 102, lot 010-000-000, and to authorize the Deputy Treasurer Tax Collector to execute a promissory note with the resident of the property.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? 6-4, 1 abstention. I will abstain. Item 13, Council Order 111604. Request of the Deputy Treasurer Tax Collector to waive foreclosure on the property located at 931 Bangor Road, map 75, lot 13, and a bunch of zeros. Yes.
Right. As you may recall, we waived foreclosure on this property last year. It came to the city's attention that the ownership is currently, being investigated. We were hoping to waive foreclosure last year, and it would all be resolved by this time. However, it has not been. So we're hoping, 1 more year might help that. I do want to mention that they did pay the FY14 taxes, which were waived last year. So we won't be looking at a couple years behind. Once this is all resolved, we'll just be looking at the 15 that you might waive tonight.
So there was so many money brought in
Yep.
an attempt. And
Yep.
I know it's, knowing the family and I know the situation, it's been a pretty difficult and contentious issue. They're having a fair amount of time spent and money, I'm sure, to get to where they need to be. Any other questions from council on this request? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, move to approve the request of the Deputy Treasurer Tax Collector to waive foreclosure on the property located at 931 Bangor Road, map 075, lot 013, and a lot of zeros.
Thank you. Same thing I read. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Item 14, public hearing and action on the request of the city planner to amend the City of Ellsworth official land use map by rezoning tax map 16, lot 34-1, 9.72 acres from the commercial zone to the rural zone. And- Yes.
Hi.
Ms. Gay.
So I'm asking for consideration for a zone change from commercial to rural to build a single-family home. The lot in question sits on the border, on the town line between Ellsworth and Lemoyne, in between Buttermilk Road and the Douglas Highway. It is not accessible from Ellsworth. It's only accessible from Lemoyne. It's a very unique situation in that regards. The owner of the lot, it's almost a 10-acre lot, was denied a building permit for a single-family home because the commercial zone does not allow for single-family home. It allows for multi-units. So we are asking for conservation for the zone change to put it in the rural zone, which allows for single-family homes. The rural zone is also would be compatible with the zoning in the next town over as well. It's not going to alter the character of the neighborhood. This lot is literally in the middle of, I don't want to say nowhere, but it's very isolated. That's all I have.
It's a very unusual. The parent lot splits the town line, and this is basically a corner of the original lot years ago.
Correct.
And it's also unique that we would, the house would be in Ellsworth and the road is in Lemoyne, so they get to maintain the road and we get the tax revenue. So kind of a unique situation in itself.
Yeah, I just want to say for people listening, people may think it's spot zoning, and spot zoning is when you take a lot, maybe the 10,000 square feet lot, and you, for the benefit of no one except one person, with no relationship to nothing, you change the zone. If you go back to the comp plan, which I explain here, there's a whole relationship why actually that lot was not earmarked for a commercial zone. So I just want to say that this is one of the rare time that it's, from where I sit, in 15 years, I've never recommended something like this, but I highly recommend the zone change.
It's a very unique and unusual situation, and
Correct.
this approach is more common sense than spot
Correct.
zoning.
Because
Makes something totally unusable.
it will
something that
never
could
be
used.
viable as a commercial lot.
Okay.
No.
You'll never see any tax
you.
benefit from it.
And, you know, looking at this very colorful map, I don't know if anybody down there can see it, but it's that pink thing that sort of looks like a pancreas. And it is almost in the middle of nowhere. So I heartily support it.
Any further questions from council of the planner?
Not after that.
Now we had our medical professional and former IT professional that brings us on that. If there is no discussion, then I'll open the public hearing. The public hearing is open for any input from the public on this request. Not seeing any takers, the public hearing is now closed. Council action?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
move
sir.
approval.
Second.
No discussion? Then all those in favor? Unanimous. Item 15, Council Order 111605, request of the IT Systems Administrator to purchase Microsoft Office 2016 software licenses. Magically, maybe one will appear, an IT professional.
Mr. Moore is filling in.
Oh, okay, Mr. Moore. could you- Oh, wait a minute. We got his assistant here, Mr. Fortier. Yes.
All right, good evening. So we are currently on Microsoft Office version 2007. We're 3 versions behind, and I'm asking for your permission, your approval to upgrade to version 2016. This is within budget. We have $27,500 in the budget for this, so this came in under budget. And I'd like to recommend purchasing from GovConnection.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I've been doing an intense study of Microsoft. And if we do this, what's the life expectancy?
I like to skip one version, so we'll probably skip whatever the next version is. Don't know what it'll be, and purchase the next. This time we went a little longer than I'd like, because we have run into some issues with the version we're on not being compatible with some of the newer server systems. So it's skipping one is fine, but skipping 2 or 3 is too many. So.
I'm having trouble with Vista.
Oh, well, yeah. That was the case when it was new. So.
That might explain some of it.
Well, that's true.
Explains a lot. I'm used to having trouble with these.
Thank you for that insightful question, Mr. Moore.
Do I-
Is there anybody else in the council that would like to quiz the other IT individual? That was Thank you so much.
Did you actually amaze you that we need 80 licenses?
No.
There are 80. That's right on the money. We took a close count and it's right about exactly right. So throughout the entire city, you figure all the locations, public works and police cruisers. I mean, there's
Does that include the school?
no.
That is,
The schools get this for much less. I wish we could buy under education pricing, but we can't.
And out of curiosity, dinosaurs such as that John and this John that are using the older versions, this software will recognize the documents we create and would
Yes.
open them,
Yes, it will.
other than the other way around doesn't quite work.
It won't work
It
going
goes
backwards,
backwards.
but it'll go
It is.
forward. Yes.
Backwards compatible.
Yeah.
Good. Once you get VistaFix, you and I'll be in.
It's a color now, I understand.
I would note, Mr. Chair, that we can get documents for others who have the more modern version, and it doesn't
Yes.
necessarily work with ours.
Exactly.
Any other questions from council? Motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, move to approve the request of the IT system administrator, purchase 80 Microsoft Office 2016 licenses from GovConnection Inc. for the amount of $26,851.20. Funding to come from the MS Office Capital Improvement Account.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor? Unanimous. Item 16, Council Order 111-606, request of the IT Systems Administrator to purchase upgrades to the government channel broadcast equipment. Does this mean that we're going to look better and sound better soon?
Well, maybe. There's more to it than that. So anyway, we have the equipment. This broadcast equipment was actually purchased with the original franchise agreement, which was, I don't know the exact year, but it was either late 90s or very early 2000s. Gary might remember.
2001.
There you go. So this equipment it's lived a good life, and we have had very few failures. We've lost one camera in that time that we've had to replace, and we've made just a couple upgrades in the studio in that time. Every year when we pay our dues to the cable consortium, a portion of those dues goes into an equipment fund that is held at EMDC. We haven't drawn on that except a small amount a couple of times for some small pieces. So we have approximately $16,593 in that account with them. I'm requesting to purchase approximately $14,500 in upgrades to the studio equipment, new recording equipment, new switchers, new mixers, all of that, that is HD compatible. We don't have enough money to do the cameras as well, so you won't look any different initially. The cameras will need to be upgraded as a separate purchase. So just to be clear, that would be a second phase to this project. So essentially, that's what I'm looking to do in a nutshell. We've gotten a lot of miles out of this equipment. It served us well, but we have this money in the account, and I think the time is right to do the upgrade.
I have a question that comes to mind, and I'm not being completely humorous about it, but will the newer equipment like the old cameras?
Yes, we have to buy some adapters, which is part of this, but they will work.
So it kind of sort of is that
Yes,
good?
we adapt it backwards. We adapt it up to the newer formats,
All right.
but
That's-
that's the difference. We could do the cameras now, but you're not gonna adapt new cameras into the old equipment. It's not gonna work
Yeah.
that way.
How expensive are the cameras that I'm sure we'll see soon?
You'll see at least this, if not more, for just cameras. Another $15,000 plus. The cameras are very expensive.
So we can look grainy a little bit longer, that would be good. Questions from council? Mr. Cross?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask the IT director my usual question, and that's not totally related to what you want to purchase tonight.
Yeah.
But can I get some kind of a guarantee that we're going to have a PA system, that we can hear somebody who's standing at that podium, people sitting at this table, and the people up there know what's going on? I've asked it many times, I'm still waiting.
We had a gentleman come down and look at the room, and this was in the spring when you first asked. He was supposed to get us a proposal, and he never did. We just haven't followed up with him. So I know he's real busy. He's kind of a one-man operation. He did the equipment at the Moore Center for us. He does really good work. But I will make sure that I can either get him back here or we'll find someone else to look at the audio.
Thank you.
Yep.
I can't imagine that he's the only person that does it in the state of Maine.
There aren't a lot. You'd be surprised. There are a few in southern Maine. The issue is getting them up here.
If they don't cross the bridge.
They come up, but they usually charge mileage. So
Thank you, Jason.
Yeah.
Any further questions?
Not unlike our traffic control systems.
Yeah.
Where we have to trust someone from southern Maine and New Hampshire to come all the way up here to fix them. This is a project that Jason and I have been contemplating for about 3.5 years. We've kind of sat back thinking that, oh, we're going to get a cable franchise agreement with Time Warner Cable, which includes a one-time monetary contribution to public access, and we could do the project. But Jason and I talked a month and a half or 2 months ago, and we both agreed it's time to get going, do the first one, then hopefully when the franchise agreement, if ever, gets approved, we can take the next step. But I support this. They've done a real good job of putting this system together from multiple sources to make it work right. So applaud them for their ingenuity.
Mr. Chair, a question through Councilor Fortier, if I could. Is this consortium money? Is this where that's coming from?
It's our money. Because the Penobscot Down East Cable Consortium is a conglomerate of, I think we're down to 9 communities, used to be 14 or 15. They used to run a public access channel 2, which went through the entire consortium through JMac Video Productions up in Herman, or Glenburn, I guess it was. Since we don't have the expense of that production anymore, because 2 is dark, we've reduced dues, and this was a way to funnel some of your dues money back into your community for the sole purpose of improving public access programming. Instead of leaving it, and don't take this wrong, leaving it to the community to fund, that we take your money and say, we'll give it back to you if you spend it our way. To be honest, that's exactly what it was. And the last few years, because we've got adequate money in all of our accounts, we've set the dues at 0 and haven't funded this account. So yeah, it's our dues money that has been allocated back to us. We just have to spend our money and submit for reimbursement.
Thank
And
you.
If we do it in the same fiscal year, it's all covered.
Yeah, and there'll be some left over.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you.
And the equipment's being installed by you and your associate?
Yep. He
Any
spent
further dis-
he spent most of the work. He's done most of the work on this. He left this stuff. So
That's fine. Any further questions from council? Seeing none? Motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, move to approve the request of the IT Systems Administrator to purchase television studio equipment upgrades with an amount not to exceed $14,500. The city will purchase the equipment and then submit for reimbursement from the PDCTC Equipment Fund.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous.
thank you.
Item 17, Council Order 111607. Thank you, Jason. Request of the Finance Director to award a lease agreement contract for the harbor concessions at the Ellsworth Harbor. That is within your packet. Mr. Remick is under the weather tonight and won't be here to present it. It was discussed 2 or 3 times at the Harbor Commission meeting. They are very much in favor of doing it. They'd like to extend it as a 3-year license. I discussed it with Manager Cole and I. Now, Council Hudson found a couple of faux pas in the contract, but I think probably that's something we can deal with. Mr. Manager?
Yeah, there's one errant reference to the former, one of the former leasees, so we will remove that. The draft language you have before you still anticipates only a 1-year lease, so we would need to modify the language to reflect a 3-year lease. Otherwise, it would pretty much stay the same, $300 per month, $1,500 per season, but now it would be 3 seasons versus 1 season.
Mr. Chair, in meeting this couple, they were really impressive in their conversation about what their goals were for the harbor. And it looks like if they can accomplish what they're talking about, it'll be the best experience we've had so far with vendors at the harbor. They have a lot of experience, and they're really anxious to do it.
They had decent references. The menu was a viable menu,
Yeah.
so it seemed like a good choice. Mr. Fortier?
I just had one question on it, is they are requesting access to, they're gonna pay it, to electricity and water, city water.
That's correct. It's one of the terms of the contract.
I don't believe, can we give them access to water without them having a suitable sewerage connection?
Well, they're responsible for taking care of their gray water. Under
So
the
they're gonna
terms.
use a contained gray water system?
I assume so.
Okay, well, that was my concern.
Yeah.
Washing dishes and letting it go on the parking lot is not.
They're
acceptable.
responsible for that.
Yeah. So, okay, as long as that's clear.
I think I saw something in the contract about that too.
Yeah, sure there is under the tenant's obligations.
Well, it says, Section 8, landlord's obligations. Landlord shall provide infrastructure for sewer and water service and metering. I didn't think we had sewerage up there.
I think that may be standard language. And again, we can modify that as
Okay,
needed.
it's a landlord obligation to run
Yeah.
sewerage up there, so I'd be careful with that.
Put that in your notes and be sure that that's
Yep.
covered. Good discussion. Any further comments from council?
And I'd agree with you, Mr. Chairman, they have a good history, they're energetic and really want to get down there and get going, so I would move approval of the contract with the stipulation the manager change the errors and authorize him to sign it.
Second.
Moving second. Any further discussion?
Under section 9E2, it does say tenant shall be solely responsible for proper disposal of all gray water and solid waste generated from tenant's food operations.
Perfect.
But if he doesn't use gray water, we're required under Section 8 to give him
Okay.
Okay.
infrastructure for sewer.
Those
Yeah, and we'll
points.
just eliminate that.
Yep.
Because
That's
they're gonna be using the city's restrooms.
You'll have a
anyway.
chance to find out what is needed, so
Yep.
just be sure that it's addressed in the contract. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Oh, that was unanimous. Okay, I can catch you, Steve. There you go. Oh, item 18, executive session to discuss the condition, acquisition, or use of real or personal property in accordance with MRSA Title I, Chapter 13, Section 405, Paragraph 6C. As far as item 19, discussion and action, I think that
Yeah.
after really discussion, there will be none.
Yeah, I don't believe we're in the position to take action tonight.
So, there will be, after the executive session, there will be no action on item 19. That will be withdrawn or tabled as fit. So I have a motion to go into executive session, please.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Unanimous. We're moving into executive session. Thank you.